First up, we're asking a question that goes beyond the protest that we've been seeing in central Delhi, more specifically Jantar Mantar. Has the movement, the students' protest itself, gone through a little bit of a change? Because if you look closely, what began as a unified student uprising over the alleged NEET paper leak now appears to have multiple centers of gravity, different priorities and perhaps different end games as well. Only time will tell. But for weeks, Sonam Wangchuk, the Cockroach Janta Party, led by Abhijit, and thousands of young students appeared to be speaking in one voice. But are they stilled? And that's the big question. Let's first establish the facts. The government today escalated its response. And even as we say that, the opposition MP's bus, led by Rahul Gandhi, it was stopped from reaching Gandhi Smriti, where they were going to pay homage to all those students that died by suicide, that lost their lives. The MP's bus, it was stopped by the security officials and the authorities over there. Then you've got Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who today announced that fast-track courts will be set up to ensure quicker punishment for those involved in the examination paper leaks, calling the future of the India's youth a national priority. Union Home Minister Amit Shah endorsed that move. And at the same time, Union Ministers JP Nadda, Dr. Jitendra Singh, once again inviting Cockroach Janta Party and their representatives for talks, saying the government was ready to discuss, it still is ready to discuss, it's ready to discuss every issue at any time and at any venue. The same has been uttered by Kiran Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, inside the Parliament, saying the opposition does not want to talk. We dare you to come and have a conversation with us. The opposition says, nothing doing until Dharmendra Pradhan resigns. And the invitation by the CJP representatives, it seems like, has also been rejected because, hey, no talks have happened. The CJP says that nothing has changed. But those are the three prime faces of this protest. Now, you've got Sonam Wangchuk, you've got Abhijit, and then you've got the multitude of the Gen Z, the actual power of this storm. Its principal demand, talking about the CJP, remains the resignation of Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. The party also insists that the protests will continue until its demands are accepted. But is this where the story begins to get a little bit more interesting? Hear me out. Because Sonam Wangchuk's position, at least in tone and tenor of that letter that was given to the union government yesterday, appears to have evolved. From the hospital, Wangchuk released a letter saying he wants to end his fast and return back to his students. His primary condition is now an assurance that there will be no retaliatory action against peaceful student protesters. His language on some of the movement's earlier demands also appears a little bit softer. Where the protest had earlier insisted on Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation, Wangchuk referred to Parliament discussing accountability, including consideration of resignation. Where compensation had earlier been framed in fixed monetary terms by sections of the movement, Wangchuk spoke instead of adequate compensation. Importantly, he focused on protecting students rather than demanding action against the police. And that is a noticeable difference in emphasis between what the Cockroach Janta Party from Jantar Mantar is saying and what Wangchuk said from his hospital bed in Medanta. Now, compare that with the CJP. The party has hardened its rhetoric. It continues to insist resignation is non-negotiable. It has accused the government of trying to dilute the movement through procedural announcements. It has alleged outsiders are attempting to infiltrate the protests and discredit students through violence. It has also rejected repeated invitations for talks without concrete commitments. So, you have three parallel structures here. And this is the third force. The one perhaps least organized, but certainly the largest, the Gen Z, the youth, the students out there. Millions of students whose frustrations extend far beyond one examination. From repeated paper leak allegations to digital evaluation controversies to rising education costs to growing unemployment education and specifically unemployment amongst graduates, the anger is clearly broader than just one NEET leak examination, which raises the central question. Is this still one collective movement that has one collective momentum? Or are we now looking at three parallel tracks, not very different from each other, but on three different gauges? A moral movement represented by Sonam Wangchuk, a political mobilization driven by the CJP, and a much larger youth sentiment that may eventually move on its own direction. Meanwhile, Parliament remains deadlocked. The opposition continues to insist there can be no discussion without Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation. The government says it is ready for a debate, and the protests on the streets continue, the streets remain charged. So who holds the mandate? Before I bring in our guests, take a look at some of the big questions that we're trying to understand. Where does this movement go from here? Who now defines its demands? Who speaks for India's students? And perhaps the biggest question of them all, when a movement changes, who gets to decide where it finally ends? Let's put those questions tonight before our panel. Senior journalist, a political analyst with us on the broadcast, Mr. K.V. Prasad, senior journalist, man needs no introduction. Many thanks, Mr. Prasad. And Dr. Mahendra Singh, senior journalist with us on the broadcast as well. Mr. Prasad, what's your assessment and reading here? To all those big questions that I pointed out, do you think we're trying to read too much into the fine print, trying to unpack the layers unnecessarily, or is this actually a question 3-4 days after what we saw on the 20th of July?
Well, Kavit, to my understanding is there is a very, very clear demand that I've been hearing from the voices that have come out from all the students, and it is now not just Gen Z. Remember, very many parents have reached there expressing solidarity. Elder citizens, senior citizens have gone there for expressing solidarity. It has moved beyond Gen Z. The Gen Z provides the spirit and the solidarity and the solidity to the entire issue, number one. Number two, as of now, what we see, what is evident is Abhijit Deepke and his core team of CJP are the ones who has become the voice. And I have not heard, maybe there may be stray voices, or anybody questioning. In fact, if you remember, these very students or children or youth had questioned why did the two representatives go and meet the minister in the residence. And now they have now said we'll either meet at a neutral venue or a venue. They should come to the Janta Darbar, even yesterday. So that means they are listening to the voices that are coming from the ground, because that is where the energy comes from. So I don't see anything other than that.
And maybe they want to stay close to that. They want to make sure that they, at least optics-wise, look like they're in unison with that, because the first round of discussion at JP Nadda's residence, you had two spokespersons that went there. But on the other hand, now the situation is in an entire deadlock. And why I'm asking you this, Mr. Prasad, is because it's still a very nascent stage. On the 20th of July, we're still sitting on the 23rd, 24th, a nationwide protest call that's been announced. Do you think that this is a new phase where multiple power centers may be emerging now?
No, I see the point is there may be voices which may be not exactly 100% with what is being said. But then this is where the consensus effort is. Like I said, if the CJP people who are on the stage had not heard the voice from the ground, who had objected to why did you go and meet the minister? They should have come to us. So, now that has solidified, number one. Number two, you look at it, nobody said, oh, he's not our leader. That's not, that's the point is now it has gone beyond NEET. Let us get that clear.
Mr. Prasad, again, my apologies for interjecting. I'm just thinking maybe that's perhaps because the Gen Z, the largest force, the actual strength behind this movement is also the least organized, which is why you need CJP to take this forward, which is why nobody is, questioning all of that's happening.
Well, for those who have been there at the venue have told me, because I don't travel to be very honest, but I have many people who have been there.
I visited that place myself, and I'll tell you what, Mr. Prasad, just like a quick anecdote, I visited, I think, on the 18th of July, and then later on, just a day before the 20th of July protest, 2 days back to back. And what I understood was that once the crowd swelled up, you had the spokespersons that took to the stage, and this is when Sonam Wangchuk was still on the pedestal there, before the cops forcefully removed him from the Jantar Mantar pedestal, getting to the mic, arousing the emotions, invoking the sentiments of Bhagat Singh and B.R. Ambedkar Sahab, and then telling them, sort of creating this credibility that, hey, look, we're there for you and you're there for us. But why I'm questioning this now is because we're seeing a different set of demands coming from Cockroach Janta Party and a completely different set of demands coming from Sonam Wangchuk, who is actually the moral strong point and the moral center of this movement.
Agreed. He is there, but everybody has noticed that what he has sent the letter is probably after the two ministers visited him as per news reports, right? Now, what negotiated between them and the minister is not in the public realm. One only presumes that what has been written in the letter. Now, that is separate. Sonam Wangchuk remains, the moral fiber or the moral compass around which these people are come. But I think today, it is July 20th, which is the new lodestar. That has changed the entire direction. And last night I was speaking to some people who were at the venue. They said it is amazing the way people have volunteers are organizing themselves and they are not allowing any violent. In a huge crowd, it's very difficult. It's like in a classroom of 40, you always have a mischievous student, right?
Right. But then you're
And
absolutely
here
right,
it's a
sir,
big
and
crowd.
that's a great example.
It's a big crowd.
Look at what happened
Yeah,
last
it's a
night.
big crowd.
How
Yeah,
can we
but
discount the
remember,
fact as to what happened last night in National
but
Capital?
that's exactly. After that, I spoke to some people. They said it was very quickly sorted out, police and all that has happened, and the volunteers took charge, and ensured that nothing else moved forward. So we must also appreciate that. Since I was not personally present at the venue, I'm only depending on people who were there and who told me this. Okay, so I'm going by eyewitness. Fellow journalists were there. So this is where I appeal. So I'm not saying it's too early.
Okay.
There are several moving parts, and it is an evolving situation.